really real, no, this is not for play. I see you and you see me, you wanna ride the wave. I can spot you from a mile away. Tap the gas and I'm gone, this is not a race. I just bought some racks in. What's happening? It's just me and my guys, don't got no rap friends. You ain't see the front but talking back ends. Oh, I see the money, whoa, pick and roll, give and go. I see the money, whoa, pick and roll, give and go. I see the money, whoa, pick and roll, give and go. I see the money, whoa, pick and roll, give and go. Oh my God, 3 cars, 5 jobs, slam door, off the law. Shorty said she got the wap, I just want the walk. Posted money on the snap, that'll get you robbed. Nike tech, shot wet, 3 dice bet, head crack flex. This is not a question, I don't ever practice, never act in, always act in. Back in 2010, we were sipping.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Tiffany.
I'm Ron.
I'm Jay.
And today we are here to talk about the Godfather of Harlem. This is season 2, episode 5. So if you hang tight, we'll be right back with you.
Louisiana where the last one burnt you, know that ain't cool. Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him, swear that's the truth. You can't trust that.
All right, we're back. And like I said, we're talking Godfather of Harlem, season 2, episode 5. We are halfway there through the season. And the title was, It's a Small World After All.
With the scenic look of the New York World's Fair. It is a small world, but I think that love-hate relationship between Chin and Bumpy might be a little bumpy as seasons go along. I thought I had so much respect for what they were able to build, but I don't know.
It's always the outsiders that screw stuff up for you. It seemed like they had such a good thing going. But, it's hard to get everybody else to be down, be on the same page with you.
Yeah.
So,
Racism won out.
Yep.
I figured it would because, just because you, as the leaders of the organizations, get along and have made this deal, doesn't mean that the rest of your crew is going to fall in line. And like you said, that racism runs deep. So there were a lot of good points made, especially by Chance, when he was talking about, they trying to take our dignity away from us.
And that's what I think broke through to Bumpy. Because when he said that, I was like, I felt Bumpy when he was like, okay, he should have bounced. And, I talk about this all the time about women, how we're the kryptonite for y'all. And that's why he ain't want to leave. He ain't want to leave his woman. But I was like, he could have taken her with him. But, but I felt him when he said.
Why didn't she just leave with him?
That's what I'm saying. She loved him anyway. So they both could have rolled. They had money. Bumpy would have looked out for them.
I got one thing to say about Bumpy, though. I think, and here's where I think Bumpy went wrong. When Chance capped that, when Chance capped Chin's dude, if I were Bumpy, I would have said, I would not come up in your house, or I wouldn't expect one of my men to come up in your house and cause some disturbance talking about cutting or shooting somebody. That's what your boy did. And your boy deserved some bullets, and he got what he deserved. Now you come up in my house and start some disruption, you gonna get got. And that's what happened to his guy. So I would have said, no, my boy ain't going nowhere. He was protecting the house. And I would expect you to do the same thing if we came up in your house trying to start something, something like that. So instead of trying
to do that though.
Well, he tried to do it with money. He tried to do it with money.
No, he tried before then, the first conversation.
My first,
he tried to smooth it over.
But it's how you come up with that conversation. Look, Chance was protecting his house, and you can't expect any member to not do anything less. And just because your boy is right.
I think Chin understands that. He wasn't tripping. He was like, I didn't like him anyway. Yeah. So he was like, I just can't, with the Italians, with them, it's like very, like tight stitch. I feel like they really take on that family bond. Yeah. And so it's like, you mess with one of us, it's like you mess with all of us. And they're like, a payoff is not good enough for us. We want blood.
But it goes, sorry to cut you off, it goes to the conversation of what Chance was saying. They don't respect us and they don't have dignity. So in they got what happened. They're just saying, oh, it would have been fine if you wounded him, but you killed him, you took a life. So it's almost like they value their lives more than they value ours. And I think that's the point Chance was making to begin with, that they look down on us, they don't respect us. They don't see us as equals, and that's a problem, because had the shoe been on the other foot, of course they would have taken Chance's life and thought nothing of it. That would have been okay.
Okay.
They know what was happening. They're mad because he killed one of theirs.
Exactly.
But you have to understand too, it's pretty temperamental. It's a situation where this is not an ordinary situation. This is not like he just got a business partner and they're doing business. They already know that they're up against the odds, that they just shot dude last week over the deal. I can't remember his name, the guy that they killed, the Italian.
Macchiato or something.
Yeah. And so my point is that Chin was trying to do a deal. He said, basically, just tell your guy to leave town. It's the same way Chin told his guy to leave town when he killed the black guy. He sent this guy to Miami. So it's an understanding that if he had just left town, he'd have been fine. Everything was already worked out. Now, the thing is that they already knew. I mean, his girl, the girl he was with, he should have easily just said, yo, me and you going together. We're going to go out of town. They could have deaded everything, and they could have kept moving. Business would have kept moving, and they would have been fine. I think the problem with it was that they went a little too far. Now, don't get me wrong. When Chin's people kidnapped the girl, they completely breached the deal. But the thing was that Bumpy had initially said, get him out of town. Had he just got him out of town and left, that would have been the end of everything. It's like it's the same thing that Chin did with the other guy. So I don't think that it was completely just a black and white thing. I think it was also bad business. The thing is that they already know that the business is already kind of like, it could always flip from left to right at any given time.
Yeah, but he didn't just kill him for the sake of it.
No, he didn't. He did.
I think that's the issue. He violated. So
Of course.
What happened to him was warranted, and I think that's the part that it's almost like they're not recognizing. Like so he pulled out a knife. So he tried to kill her, and
isn't that like real life? What happens now? Like
yeah.
I mean, but Chin did say that though.
Yeah,
Chin said,
when the other guy came up to him and was like, no, we want to kill him. He was like, if you had been in that same position and you did exactly what he did, then you got to expect the same consequences.
Right.
And so, I mean, Chin, I think he recognizes that his guy was way out of line.
Yeah, I mean, they
he
tried.
was fighting it.
And he said he didn't even like the guy.
Yeah.
But he just tried to find a solution, is what I guess I'm saying.
Yeah.
Chin was trying to find a solution that would have made it so that everybody could conduct their business. Dude could have lived. It wasn't like he was saying there's no other way to do it. He got to die.
Yeah,
he
but
said,
look,
just get him out of town so that we can keep business going.
but then Chin does something else that was, I think, was just kind of a low blow. Now you want 100% of the next shipment of Bumpy's of the shipment that comes in. So he wants 100% of Bumpy's profit.
Because he breached the deal, though.
Yeah, but you don't like the guy. You said you didn't like the guy. The guy is really expendable, whereas I think Chance is less, is more of a value to Bumpy than this guy was to Chin. Chin's already admitted that he didn't like the guy. He already admitted that he was kind of off the rails. So, and Chin knows, like you said, he knew that the guy did wrong from the get. But then to try to,
but as a leader, I'm sorry.
Trying to extort Bumpy's next shipment, his percentage, 100%. I mean, I would have
extorted. I think he was really caught in the middle. Yeah. And I think he was saying, like, I need a bigger payoff because these men are not just going to accept chump change. I got to give them
exactly what I was saying. As a leader, you have to set the tone, or they're going to run them up below. Like, you heard him already. Like, you're defending him and stuff, and not saying that he wasn't wrong, because I agree with y'all. Like, shoot, dude was out of pocket.
Yeah,
they were in his house. He defended his house. He defended his woman. Chance was right in that situation. But I think in Chin's eyes, he felt that Bumpy breached the contract first because he told him he was going to get dude out of town. Then he came back and said, no, he ain't going out of town. So what else can we do? So
Yeah,
That-
I
that
agree.
was-
I think Chin
He already
did
told
the
his
right thing.
people that
Yeah.
he was gonna bounce. And then he came back and said, no, I didn't. So here's the money. So I guess they said they breached the contract. I mean, yeah, they breached
Pay it all.
But
Yeah.
then again, but Chin still had a problem because one of his boys said he would try to find him no matter where he is. And so it didn't matter that he went out of town because what he was
Yeah,
saying
but
was,
Chin was trying to shut that down.
But he
Chin
tried.
shut that down. He said,
but he couldn't.
no,
He couldn't.
he told him. He said, "You're not going to do that. We got business to take care of."
Yeah,
And
but
what I'm trying to, what I'm saying is that Chin did try to stick to the deal that they made. I feel like as far as my man, the dude is the same dude from Boardwalk Empire, Luke Cage. Everywhere he goes, he causes trouble. That actor, he's always goes too far and messes up a deal. But I swear, when they brought him in there, I said, if he'd have just left town, it was an understanding. It's like, look, it's certain things you just got to understand. I can understand if it was today, if it's 2021. It's a different conversation. It's 1960 something. We're in a very turbulent time. We know that the cops and everything else are definitely not on our side. Not that they are now, but they definitely weren't back then. And my point is that it was a deal that Chin tried to arrange so that they can keep their business going. Chin just popped a dude last week on behalf of keeping the deal with Bumpy. He did not betray Bumpy. So I feel like the way that Chin was trying to run it, he's like, look, you know the rules. If this goes this way, you gotta give up this person. That's just the rules. But I'm gonna allow you to get this guy out of town. Just get him out of here. We continue our business, and it's like it never even happened.
But he said,
Yeah,
get him
I
out of
agree.
town for as long as he wants to stay alive. That's
Right.
forever. And
Yeah.
chance means more
well,
than
Benny
Bumpy.
came back to town.
Exactly.
Benny came, he got sent to
Exactly.
Florida and he came back to town and
Exactly.
spell a song.
Exactly. And got clipped. But if he had gone to Chin wouldn't have done anything. Chin would have accepted him. Chin was already upset the fact that he hadn't heard from him in 6 weeks, and he suspected that the guy is dead. So it's still, a double-edged sword, no matter how you play it. They want it their way, and that's just it. They just want it their way. And personally, I think Chance was right. I ain't running from these, these dudes. I mean, and he made a point, Bumpy.
But it is business. At the end of the day, this is a business. I mean, I get what you're saying from emotional levels, but you got to dig it for what it is.
As a business, you can't come into my house and talk about killing my people.
That's the part. That's the
Yeah,
part.
That is the
yeah,
part.
that is
Violated.
also-
And so
that-
but
Exactly. That's also a part of the business rule. You cannot come up in my house, talk about killing my people, and think that that's okay.
Right.
Yeah,
And Chin should have had his
that's-
people in line.
yeah,
Exactly.
so I think that's the part that I'm with Ron on that Chan shouldn't even have to leave town. That's not a part of the conversation because guy violated. That's
He
the rule.
did. He did.
I don't come on your territory and violate your rules, and you don't do the same, and business is fine.
Exactly.
So I got a question for y'all though, but where do you think this leaves Chin and Bumpy's relationship? Because
It's done.
ultimately
It's
Renee
done.
died,
It's done.
but Bumpy ended up killing 3 of Chin's guys.
That's why I say it's done. Because first of all, Chin said, don't bring guns to the meeting. But his people had guns because
exactly.
clearly they just shot up old girl. They shot
exactly.
up. What's her name again?
Renee.
Renee,
She said they shot Renee, so they brought guns. So
I'm
what
gonna
were their plans?
I'm gonna tell you,
The innocent
No,
woman.
at the end, it was over. It was already foregone at that point. Once they snatched her off the streets, it was already
It was
breached.
over.
I think
Exactly.
that we already understood at that point. It was already too far to go back. Like I said, everything that I'm addressing is more towards the beginning because I did feel like at the beginning they had a workable agreement. He leaves town, he's chilling somewhere else, and business goes on, and they would eventually been able to bring him back. At some point or the other. But the way I saw the situation with the end, you already knew once they started capping dudes, that was the end of it. That was it. There's no way they can come back from that, in my opinion.
well, if Chin had any way of thinking, he should realize, just go to a mathematical equation. I lost 3 of my men, you lost 1 young lady. So Bumpy, I think I might want to stay friends with you because you outnumber me in terms of how to shoot 3 to 1. I mean, Chin had 3 of his guys, including himself, and it was just Bumpy and Chance, and they took all 3 of Chin's guys out. So if Chin had any thought process, he may not want to go to war with Bumpy. It looks like that's where they're headed. But I think that they can get over this if they get those ground rules set. You know, it's like a contract. You know, you try to write a good contract, but you leave out something, and then everybody wants to fuss over what you left out. That part they left out was, don't come to my house, starting no SHIT. I won't come to your house and do the same.
Well, my thoughts on this is Bonanno. So Chin already has this suspicion that Bonanno took out Benny. And so he's thinking that there's war brewing on that front. So Chin really can't afford to be the odd man out by himself right now.
Exactly.
I think that he's going to get over the situation with Bumpy, because that was the main thing stopping him from proceeding, were those three guys. They were pressing hard for revenge. And now that they're dead, Chin is kind of like, okay, well, it would be easy to kind of go back to business as usual. I wouldn't trust Bumpy maybe as much because you breached contracts. But at the same time, going into a war, possibly, I can't afford to be alone.
But guys, the contract was breached when dude tried to hurt one of Bumpy's people. When you pull out a blade in my house, your contract is null and void. It's gone. There is no contract anymore.
I still think there's a little suspicion.
Yeah, but you're not really being realistic about it,
feelings.
You kind of taking it in a sense like we too, like it's AT&T and Sears. This is the mob and a gang of brothers. It's a whole. The deal was completely different.
Bumpy carries.
I'm just saying, just hear me out. What I'm saying is this: Bumpy is wilding, and we know why. He had to come hard this season because he was in a position where he was the underdog completely. He was a marked man. They were going to kill Bumpy. He kind of came. He got the five families to basically bend. He got a situation with Chin that was unexpected. During that situation, they came after him again, and he was able to defuse it by doing something real crazy. It worked out. He's been doing some things that's been keeping him alive. What I'm saying, though, is that this is a guy that's really always kind of the underdog. For Chance to have killed his man, we already understood. Even the girl Renee said you should have shot him in the leg or something like that. You should have just basically disarmed him. We could have got him out of here. The truth is that he had a feeling. What he kind of did a foreshadow thing when he was going up the stairs, and the guy said, "Would you dress for prom?" And he's like, yo, fuck you. What's going on? He went into his lingo, right? And what I'm saying is that dude was like, yeah, he just don't like Italians. He was already ready to get into some business. Yeah. I'm not telling you that he was wrong. He was not wrong at all. What I'm saying is that I'm just talking about in a realistic vision, this is not like a paper contract. This is a very temperamental situation that can easily go left or right. And during those situations, if you have an out, you normally take it just so you don't have a war.
I love you, my brother, but let me put it to you like this. That was as real as it gets. Because if you come up in my house, not you, but if somebody come up in my house and I get the drop on them and they trying to hurt somebody up in here, I'm not calling the cops. I'm calling the morgue. They need to send a truck because your body is
corner.
Yeah, the corner. Because your body is cool.
I agree with that. I'm saying
that's the realism. No, I'm saying that's the realism of what we saw. That dude came up into Bumpy's house trying to stir up something that no man is gonna let happen. Ain't no man gonna let.
Plus he put the knife to the woman he loves face.
Ain't nobody.
I agree with everything you're saying throughout that whole thing. It's not me. You don't have a disagreement about Chance's actions.
No, I'm saying no. You said it wasn't realistic. You said it wasn't realistic. I think it was very realistic.
No, what I'm saying is not realistic. No, what I mean is not realistic is I'm saying everything is not like a true contract where you can sit down and say. Right. Section A, this happened, section B, that happened. Right. What I'm saying is that it's not literal. I'm saying that
it's a street contract.
From a street contract, and I understand is that you do it's basically where the power lies. If the power doesn't lie in your court, you do what you can within your means. And that if you look at any of those things, it's just kind of like this. He could have had the ups on these people for eternity because Bumpy's smarter than all of these people. What he does not want to do, if you notice, even along the way, the reason why he was able to survive this long is because he's been beating him with the brain. He's not been beating him with the brawn. What I'm saying is now we're in a brawn situation where now it's a war. You do not want a war because Bumpy does not have the muscle to go against all of those families. And all
Well,
those
here's where things are going to switch. The X factor, the Stella and Ernie thing.
Yeah.
What Ernie just did with Bonanno, taking out the cousin who's a member of the Bonanno family.
Yes.
Bonanno's going to think that's Chin.
Yep.
So Chin is going to be the one on the defense. And if anything, I think that's where he's going to need Bumpy.
And that's why I say that Chin and Bumpy are really on the same level, because Chin doesn't have that backing anymore after shooting that dude in at the meeting. Chin is look, the only difference between Bumpy and Chin is skin color at this point. Because Bumpy,
exactly.
Because Chin is on the outs. You know they already want him gone anyway.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I wonder how they're gonna play that, because I don't know. I didn't see if they showed a preview for next week or not. But when he killed Bonanno's guy, his cousin, by the way, they were talking about going to the Geechee. So it depends. Doesn't it depend on how they play his death? Because right now they may not know who did it. But like let's say they were talking about going to the Geechee. What if he takes the body and dumps it there? Then it makes
then it looks like Bumpy did it.
So I don't know if we can assume that they're gonna automatically think it was Chin, because it just depends on where the body shows up.
That's true.
I think Stella's gonna have a lot to do with
That's true. If it shows up at all.
Yeah, if it shows up.
Because Benny's body hasn't shown up.
Exactly.
Right.
So they can conceivably do that, and they won't know who's responsible.
It's gonna be a lot of speculation.
Yeah.
You know, Stella was a real trip this week.
Stella, period. As I said last week, a lot of people have gotten killed behind Stella.
Exactly.
That's true.
And I'm starting to feel a way about that.
And if I was Ernie, I would have. I mean, I understand he's scared of Vincent, but ultimately, like what he just did just made the situation 10 times worse. And so if you were scared of of Chin before, I mean, what you just did now makes it like, you gotta probably leave town. So I would have rather had Stella just come out and tell Vincent the truth and say, Dad, this is the situation. We talked about this last week. This is the situation. He was about to harm me, and Ernie stepped in on my behalf. And I would have just left it at that. Like, what father?
Right. Well, I think Ernie would die. I don't think Chin would kill her, but I do feel like he would kill Ernie.
I don't know. I agree. I agree with you.
Stella was to speak up on Ernie's behalf.
Yeah.
So I think they should have told the truth.
Ernie's not a made man, right?
No.
So he definitely would kill him.
I think
there's no question that he would die if
I
he
agree.
got out on that level.
I agree with Tiara. I think if Stella had said, look, I was still angry about what happened to my boy, her lover.
You told me he was gone.
Benny,
and he's not.
He's not. I see him. I shoot him. I didn't kill him. He tried to kill me. Ernie stepped in and had to do what he had to do. It was either going to be me or Benny. And Ernie did what he had to do. Now, if Chin is mad at Ernie for saving his daughter's life, then Chin has another problem altogether.
Exactly.
Right. Well, I agree with y'all. I think it would have been easier for them to tell the truth, but I do still feel like Ernie's days are numbered.
They are. And the way Stella acted him on and was like, you only kill old ladies and black men. You won't take out your own. She was really going in on him.
Yeah.
And so she really pushed him over the edge to go ahead and go through with it. But I hate that she pushed him to that point. Because I think she knows the consequences. And so that's something that she's got to live with too. If something happens to Ernie, his death is kind of on her.
She's reckless. She doesn't care. I mean, she's off the chain. She doesn't care. She's very reckless. And that's why, like you said, Tiffany, everybody that's associated with her now are dying. And they're dying, they're dropping like flies.
Teddy died. The mom had to leave town. I mean, a lot of stuff, this is behind Stella. And like I said, I'm feeling away.
Yeah.
Stella's suicidal, so the whole situation with her is she don't mind whoever gotta go. But I think with her situation, she's trying to get back at her father, and so she's always gonna be there, I guess, to kind of edge him till they figure out what she's done. So I don't know that she would ever tell him that she killed him. I think that she's dead just to keep disruption going for his life because she's mad at him and she's pissed that her friend died, her boyfriend died because of them. So she's just not gonna relent anytime soon.
Yeah. It's just interesting that whole situation. I wish they would have just came out with the truth, but we know it's going to get messier from here, especially now the Bananas guy is involved. And I thought it was interesting that they're in the same family, like you were saying, they're cousins, and yet they're on two different sides of the coin in terms of being loyal to certain families. So I guess that whole dynamic is a little interesting to me because you're blood cousins, but you're enemies because of whose crew you're associated with.
Like the Crips and the Bloods, and you got two brothers that happen to be on different sides of that color line, But the interesting part would be is if Ernie's cousin had mentioned to one of his people, getting together with his cousin.
Well, they already talked about the aunt, and I was like, well, they keep bringing up this aunt that they're talking about and how she was so happy that they had reunited. So I'm like, oh, is she about to pop up next episode?
She might have something to say as
he's missing. You were the last person to see him.
Yeah.
And they'll lead right back to Chin.
That's right.
And it was his cousin, and he killed him in a horrible way. It's not like he shot him or he strangled him. That was personal. And I was like, this is blood. I couldn't believe. Tiffany, you started out talking about how women, there's the downfall of a lot of men. But I'm like, is it really that simple to manipulate somebody to go kill their cousin?
I guess so.
He's pretty stupid though. He's pretty dumb.
Yeah, Ernie is dumb. Ernie is dumb. And then he just wants approval so bad. He wants Chin's approval so bad. So
he wants Stella's approval too.
And he wants Stella. He wants Stella
be with me.
Right.
Stella's approval too. He's in love with her for sure.
Yeah.
That thing he has with Stella is gonna kill her.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. When I say the kryptonite.
Now, talking about women being the kryptonite, this whole situation with with Powell and taking the senator to go and indulge with the ladies.
The kryptonite.
His kryptonite because he's talking about the black of the berry, the sweet of juice.
He was like, mercy me when he saw them sisters.
I'll take them all.
Oh man, that was funny. But it
was funny.
That little Southern.
So what did you guys think about that whole situation with Powell being, asked by the president to go ahead and get him to switch sides and to lay down on the filibuster so that they can go through with their political
Powell said it right. He said by any means necessary. I mean the congressman said the country's not ready. Well, when would the country be ready to give up? And we're not even really talking about giving up anything. We're talking about being able to understand who we are as a people and that you don't owe us. This isn't what you owe. This is what we've worked for. This is who we are. We deserve as much of this country as you do. And so it's not about you giving us something. We're taking what is duly owned by us. This is, we built this country. So, if I got to do whatever I got to do to get you to understand that I'm not asking for a piece of the pie, I'm asking for half the pie because we are the ones that built this country in the first place. So if I got to set you up, as you said, it's just politics. We can still be friends, but if politics is a dirty game, we all know that. So play your hand, I'll play mine. Just so happens, I got the heavier hand.
Yeah, trying to reason with a segregationist. I mean,
yeah, how do you do that?
A segregationist the sisters.
Right.
No, right? The irrationalism of racism, right? You look like my mammy. I was in love with you first.
My man.
Like,
Well, I think it was a mistake ripping up the pictures, though. I think he should have never ripped up the pictures.
Well,
I think he should have kept that, even if he didn't use it against him. I think he should have kept it in his arsenal because that's just how that team plays anyway. And so he always needs to have something in his back pocket because they're probably
That's probably a copy. He probably tore
I was
up a
about to
copy.
say, he probably got some negatives still.
That probably ain't the only copy of those pictures because we talking about Clayton Powell.
yeah,
But you know
but
what?
you know, and I was
Maybe
no. Go ahead, Luana.
made me think of something when she kept saying that it's something about it didn't feel right. I was, I keep waiting for Bumpy to get blowback from threatening that officer when he sent his man to the officer's home to sit with his wife, so they would let the shoe shine man, I can't think of his name, go. I keep expecting him to get blowback. So if you threaten the senator and you try to blackmail him, everybody probably knows you have women at the Geechee, but now this is evidence of it. So that's an opportunity for them to come raid because you have illicit activity going on there. So I don't know what it is for the future, but I was listening to Mamie when she kept saying something doesn't feel right about this. I don't know if that's just her trying to tap the moral compass of Congressman Powell. Maybe
I don't think she ever felt right doing it though. I think that
I think so too. I don't think she
the whole
felt
idea
good.
of leading him in there to get prostitutes was against her moral compass. And
I think so too. And she reminded him of his. I mean, because he was a reverend.
Right.
Too. So she was that's what she was trying to speak to his, like, this is,
This is
Yeah, but
more.
Luanda, you do make a good point though, because they were talking about not having Bumpy involved. He's a criminal, and she was like, "Well, what do you think you are?"
Exactly.
And so
He said he's a hypocrite. What's the difference?
yeah, but that is a good point though, because if he didn't want Bumpy involved, then why even have it at his club in the first place?
Exactly. And look, guys,
That is a good point.
this is war.
and you're involved with Bumpy's wife.
Look, this is
Right,
war.
and don't want to tell him.
Mamie got religion, and this is war, and I agree 100% with Malcolm's by any means necessary. And then, Powell gets gets religion all over again, and tears up those pictures. Now, like you said, Jason, I hope there are copies, and even if there aren't, I'm sure the senator believes there are. So if he had any sense at all, he would get his people to just take a step back on that filibuster. So my point is, that's half the problem with Democrats and Republicans even today. Democrats want to play at the line. Republicans go over the line, under the line. It doesn't matter. They lie. They do whatever they need to do to win. And you can't keep that line going. At some point, you're going to have to, if I play chess with you, you can't be playing checkers.
Yeah,
Decide what game we're playing and let's play.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's real. I mean, the thing is, like you said, at the end of the day, he already knew he was at a disadvantage. He tried to use the pictures to basically trump the guy. And that's why I said, it's almost like they said, don't pull a gun unless you're going to use it. Right. I think if he wasn't going to do something with those pictures, he should have never pulled them out in the first place. I think that he put himself at a disadvantage. I think that he would have been better off to just keep them in the drawer and say, hey, we got proof or something, or whatever he wanted to do to leverage the guy. But to give him the pictures and then to rip them up like that, to me, if they're the only copy, like you said, hypothetically, then I think that was a mistake. I think that will come back to haunt him.
I think so too. I agree. Yeah, he should have definitely been ready to use those pictures and not go back on what he was doing.
Yeah.
If he was going to take the moral stand, he should have did it before he handed him that envelope.
Exactly.
So I agree.
They say you pull a gun, use it. If you don't, just don't even pull it out your pocket. Just keep it moving.
If you pull a gun, use it. And if you use it, kill. Because this whole thing about shooting the other dude in the leg, why? So he can come back after he's healed and catch you going down.
Listen, I get your point. Maybe you don't disagree at all about, and I mean, just to quickly go over that, we don't disagree about what happened. Right. I was just saying from a strategy perspective. I was really talking completely for strategy. In the strategy, Bumpy still needs Chin. And I'm saying that he put himself at a disadvantage right now because now he's got to fight. And so it's just a whole different market he's dealing with now.
And another thing since we went back to that point that I thought interesting, since Mamie is playing the moral compass here, she had to convince Bumpy to even go over there to talk to Chance, because at first Bumpy was kind of like, he made his bed.
That's true.
Because he gave him an order.
He
Gave him an order. He did not listen. And so he's like, oh, he's on his own then.
Yeah.
Suffer the consequences. Yeah.
Mamie kind of talked him into going over there. So I was like, she really is playing the moral compass this episode for everybody. And then later on, Elise had her situation at the mosque where she was helping the lady that was addicted to drugs and she was pregnant, talking about, how she came through her situation and how much she will come to appreciate her child. And so I was like, uh-oh, Elise. And she even talked to Malcolm about it, wanting to raise Margaret as a Muslim. And so I was like, this is not going to go well with Mamie and Elise for too much longer.
Oh, and Mamie sees it coming because she saw how when they were watching the speech and how Margaret had her head on his shoulder, Mamie was looking over there at them. I was like, oh, she knows it's coming.
Yeah. And even Margaret's own words, when she was asking her who her favorite person in the world is. And she's
it's a tie. I was like, oh.
So the question is for you ladies, because some of you are mothers, others will probably be mothers at some point. What do you think? Do you think Elise is right from not only a moral standpoint, but even a legal standpoint? Do you believe she's right to want to have that conversation with Mamie? And should that conversation even take place with Margaret? What do you think?
I think so. I mean, Elise has really turned her life around. And to continue on with this situation, I think the biggest thing to consider is Margaret's, comfortability with the situation and how it could affect her. And so, like, continuing on with the lie, of course, it's comfortable, but it's still a lie. And so sometimes if you want to overcome that situation, like, you can't be just comfortable living the lie. Like, she's going to, especially as she gets older, she's going to feel like y'all continue to do this, whereas they could kind of like nip it in the bud now while she's, before her like her preteen phase, where things start going out of control with the hormones and everything else. Like, I feel like it would just make it worse the older she gets if they were to come out, especially as an adult or something like that, to tell her as a grown woman that I lied about this all these years. I think it's probably best to just, tell her the truth and let her know the reason and why. A lot of times we think kids can't handle things, but they're way more savvy than you think. So I think she might be able to take it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just a matter of timing, and you have to check the maturity level of the child to see when is the best way, when is the best time, and how is the best way, and who would be the best person to tell them and to share this truth with them. So I agree. She has to know. She's gonna find out.
She is, and I think she already feels it. Like that, she feels that maternal connection. She probably doesn't know what that is, but she already feels it.
I agree. Yeah.
It just, it would just really determine, once you tell her, does that mean her life changes? Does that mean she moves in with Elise? The other part of it is that she has a life and a lifestyle that she's accustomed to. So she may be able to handle the truth, but does that necessarily mean her life would have to change? Does that mean she stopped looking at Bumpy and Mamie like her parents? She may be okay with finding out that Elise is her mother, but she may also not want to go live with her too. So Elise would have to be prepared for that.
Well, right. It's complicated too, because she's trying to change her religion.
Exactly. That's what I was saying.
She's trying to change a lot of who she is. And so the thing about it is that she wants to not just expose the truth, she wants to change her direction in life. And I think that their life is already complicated as it is. They already have a lot of traumatic issues going on. I think that telling her the way that she's trying to tell her is going to be a mistake. I think that there's no way that she's not going to resent them for holding the information back. And I think they have to find a more creative way to introduce it than the way they're doing it. I don't think it's going to work to just have a sit down at the table. I think they would have to have it where it made sense. And it just right now, I think that Elise's goals are completely different than Bumpy's, and Mamie's goals. So
I think for that to happen, which is why I don't think it's going to happen, but Mamie has got to mature in that area and to understanding that Margaret needs to know the truth. And the sooner the better, like you said, Tiara, she's got to know the truth. She's got to know it sooner rather than later. And they can work something out. It doesn't mean that Elise has to leave the house because, she's living well, she's got a good life there. But it does mean that you will have the inclusion of Elise, maybe a little more, and allowing Elise to make decisions for Margaret that a mother wouldn't ordinarily make for her daughter. And that's the growth where it's going to take some growth from Mamie, to understand what really needs to happen here. And I don't, judging Mamie's face, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Mamie is the main person here that's going to prevent that from happening because she's such a protector. And I feel like she's going to want to protect Margaret as much as possible while still making sure that Elise can maintain her lifestyle that she has. And Elise, I guess nobody really knows what's been going on with Elise at the mosque anyway, but she's got it out for her. I mean, especially after that guy Charles last week, he was the only person that Elise had told that information about Malcolm to. So Elise looks like a real traitor right now. Her life could be in danger. So
yes.
They all got
on the mother role right now might not be the smartest thing, especially when you got the whole nation up against you. They already let her know this is your last chance to stop associating with Malcolm before you get some serious consequences.
Repercussions, yeah.
Yep.
For Margaret, it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, because they all got targets on. I mean, Bumpy is head of a mobster, it's a huge mob figure, and that would have some collateral on his family. And then you got, like you said, Elise, who, in spite of being told to stay away from Malcolm, she's out in public having lunch or whatever. So,
they're always at the
Yeah.
Yeah,
I find that a bit strange right now, given what they've told her.
Yeah. So they all got nice, target signs on them. So I don't know, 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know that I just hope that everything works out with that situation when it does come time to tell Margaret, because I don't know the real life story of Margaret's situation, but I'm sure that telling a child that their mom is really their grandma, or I mean not even real grandma, because that's not even Elise's real mother.
Right.
And so like that's a whole nother can of worms that she was already asking Elise, like, how was your mom? And so it was like, oh man, her whole family history is like all tangled together. I mean, Margaret, she could really start questioning her identity. Like, who am I even? Like, who are all these people around me?
And that's why I'm saying they have to be a little more delicate. I think that if they just throw it on her lap, I think it's going to backfire. I think that there's a lot of secrets in everybody's corners. Like this, we haven't even talked about the affair that Mamie had. I'm talking about as far as in the last season.
The boxer.
There's a lot of layers to all of these people's lives. There's a lot of issues that you never know when these things are going to come and backfire, and they keep having little things spill over. I just think if they go at her and just tell her this is that and that's this, they're not looking at the big picture of how it may implode. At least Elise isn't, because I think Mamie and Bumpy, Mamie more than Bumpy, she's very cognizant that if it comes out the wrong way, it's going to backfire. But I think Elise is more concerned with her own feelings about her daughter, versus what's best for her daughter, if you feel what I'm saying. I think that she's just kind of like, I think that this is what she needs, but it's really more what she wants, because the girl is happy right now. She's fine right now. There's nothing in her life that's like she's in some sort of dire straits of danger. So it's not as if she has to go live with Elise to get her life right. Elise just wants back in. So I think that there's a lot of damage that they got to contend with.
I agree.
Yep. Well, I enjoyed this episode a whole lot. This was the midpoint of the season. So we already done got a lot.
Mhm.
So I'm just concerned, like, oh my God, if this is, up to episode 5, what are the last 5 episodes going to hold? This season has potential to get real, real crazy.
Great
Mhm.
show.
I
Great
thought
show.
that it was going to be over for Chance this week. I think Chance's day.
I thought so too. When I saw him go over to Renee's
He'll
house, I
still
was like,
die.
oh, he's about to get his last piece.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I think he still might die. I think even killing those 3 guys, he's not going to be satisfied. With his girl dying like that. I think he still, has anger, and I don't think he'll be able to keep his cool. That's what I'm saying about business versus, that street energy. I don't think that he's going to be able to get through this without doing more damage. I don't think that Chance has that kind of resolve.
No, that's why I felt like he should have left with the girl.
Yeah, but I agree
Laid
with
low
you
for a
too.
little while.
I agree, Jason, in the sense that he's going to be, the rage factor for him now is like 120%. And,
Right.
I think Bumpy is the one that's really put in a precarious situation at this point, because if in fact there is any chance for Chin and Bumpy to get back to this sense of mutuality, they're really going to have to do something with Chance. And that might have or include Bumpy taking Chance out, because Chance ain't going nowhere. And as far as Chance is concerned, I'm thinking he's ready to start a war at any cost. They killed his girl.
And I was like, Chance thought he had to leave town before. He better be thinking about skipping the country now.
Yeah.
That's why I said if they had left, if he had taken her with him, this probably could have been avoided.
That's true. True.
Leon is.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I thought about though, that's what I was going to say to Leon, this situation reminded me of the Franklin and Leon situation, because, they wanted him to turn over Leon, and he was like, no, I ain't turning over my people. And the same thing that Bumpy said, no, I ain't turning over my people.
Yeah. So it worked out for Leon so far. But, I think it's unfortunate for Chance, because like as a viewer, we've grown to take a liking to, certain of Bumpy's guys. And so far they've been untouchable, but it's inevitable that somebody close to Bumpy got to go. So it's like, it's sad.
Yeah, because Chance to me is Bumpy's right-hand man. And and so far they really haven't shown anyone else that comes close to Bumpy as Chance is. So I'm of the attitude that somehow they're going to work this over with Chance. I still think Chance is going to be left. I think
Chance is out of chances.
I think Chance is too.
Yeah, let me say that's my emotional side acting up. But if I go back to a sense of reality, Chance his days are numbered. And yeah, I don't think they go over 10.
They gotta do something, because you gotta think like this. They, realistically speaking, I'm sure a few of those guys were made that they killed. I bet you they were, some of them, at least 1 or 2 of them were made guys. I don't know that they can resolve this without even almost Bumpy dying, if you understand what I'm saying. I know he's not going to, but I'm saying I don't know how they resolve this between the families, at all. So I don't think there's a chance for Chance, no pun intended. I think he has to at least die. I think it's kind of a throwback to The Sopranos. I don't know if anybody's watched that, but he had the 2 Tonys, and Tony had to kill his cousin because his cousin had put him in an impossible situation, and it was just nothing else they could do to relieve the damage at that point.
Godfather.
Yeah.
Godfather, shoot. Ozark.
Yeah. All of those shows is always the one guy who puts the main guy's heart on the line, because he doesn't want to lose this guy. He has an emotional tie to this guy, but this emotional aspect kills the game. And so,
but you still got to remember, Chin wouldn't be making the money he's making if it weren't for Bumpy. Bumpy brought him in on a deal that made him very, very rich. And if I were Chin, I have to look at that. I have to look at that and find a way, or want to find a way with Bumpy to come to something.
Well,
he can't keep his people in line.
I was about to say,
there's certain things you just can't do. It's like, if they don't deal with the situation, there's no way his people will respect him. There's no way Chin can go forward. He won't have a business.
Harder leaders or mobsters, they kept their people in line by saying, if you don't do what I ask you to do, you're going to get got. You will find yourself buried.
I mean,
and Chin doesn't talk that way. Yeah, I know. Chin doesn't talk that way.
He tried that in this episode and it didn't work.
Well, he didn't.
When he kidnapped the girl, he said that wasn't my doing.
But that wasn't strong enough.
It doesn't work for him. He doesn't have that kind of power.
No, if Chin said, "Look, you do as I say, or else,"
he tried it.
But he didn't say.
That's what happened.
But he didn't say,
listen,
I
promise you, he doesn't have that kind of power. For one guy, maybe, but for
those were his monsters. I mean,
three of his guys are gone.
Yeah, and I'm thinking,
I don't see how he comes back from that.
We'll see.
And Bonanno been plotting on him anyway.
Well,
Bonanno doesn't respect him. He said he's a chauffeur, driver, and stuff, so he doesn't really have the full respect of the family.
Exactly. He needs Bumpy probably more than Bumpy needs him.
And that's a good point too that you just made, because just like all of those Italians, they are like closely linked together through families. Like just like those three guys that Chance killed, they have a family. They could be connected to one of the other families, like Frank or somebody. And so at that point, it would go over Chan's head, and they would be like, no. Let's say, for instance, that was one of his, like he was something, he killed him, then at that it would go over Chin. He wouldn't even have a word in that, so it could just go deeper than what we're seeing. I think that I don't think that this situation is going to blow over well at all. Like, I mean, what anybody wants. Bumpy and Chin have a good thing going. Even if they wanted to keep their good thing going, I think that it's going to have far-reaching consequences that go over their heads.
Okay.
I think so too.
All right, well, we'll be back at the same place, same time next week to see what happens. I think you can see that we are passionate. We are very much so involved in this situation. We are locked in. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please drop down in the comments and let us know what you thought about this episode and what you foresee for next week and the rest of the season. Also, subscribe to our channel and click the like button and the notification bell so that you get alerted when we post new videos. We are also at the Spot Real Talk on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And I believe starting the end of this month, we'll be doing both Godfather of Harlem and The Chi.
The Chi comes back next Sunday, May 23rd.
There we go. So we're going to have double time next week. So make sure you're on the lookout for both of those recaps. Guys, have anything else to add?
I'm good.
Excited for The Chi. I can tell you that much. That's gonna be dope. Matter of fact, one of the Yolanda who's on the show, she follows me on Instagram. We always talk back and forth.
She plays Kevin's mom, right?
Yeah. Not Kevin's mom, not Kevin's mom's, the other guy's mom, the guy that has babies with everybody.
Oh no, Emmett. That's
Emmett's mom.
Emmett's mother.
That's Nina.
Yeah. Yeah, she follows me on Instagram, so I'll connect with her at some point. Maybe we can, pull in for an interview or something, man.
That would be dope.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, she's mad cool, so we'll see how it goes.
And those of you guys out there who don't know, we interviewed Lena Waithe last season, so in August. So check out that interview too on our channel.
For sure. All right, well, I think this is a good time to close things out. Again, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm all in. Brody on the line, I'm tapping in. Got out here pulling the strings for me. A girl on the line, she feeling me. Preoccupied by the motivation. Put in the time, pay the entry fee. Bro on the rise, yeah, he kinda nice. Inside of my mind, no one's real as me. Lately, life has been gorgeous. Wake up to clear, my eyes hit recorded. Praise up to God, I ain't chasing no swinging the miss, got me hitting these lips. I get the orders, don't get it distorted. Disconnected, I've been cordless, I've been cordial, I've been exploring. I got a whole lot, but somehow I want more of it. Yeah, I went to tour and put on for the soil. Hey, bruh, remember they used to ignore us? Now they drop me the pin with the cord and they catch me running through the ordinance. Remember we couldn't afford the whip.